Hello and welcome to Smash Hits Sports. I'm your host, Cody. Today, we have just such an unbelievable amount of college football to talk about. We have Washington-Oregon recap. Notre Dame destroyed USC, and goddamn it, was it beautiful. We have Group of Five talk, an incredible Week 8 slate that has huge college football playoff implications, conference matchups, ranked teams. I cannot wait. Nick, before we get into this video, make sure to huge help to the podcast. If you guys enjoy this stuff, hit that like button and subscribe to make sure you don't miss anything. But holy shit, Nick, what a week. What a week, dude.
Another fantastic week of college football. And we have just right around the corner, we get the college football playoff rankings, October 31st.
Yep.
Less than two weeks away, or today's the 16th, so it is, I guess, 2 weeks from tomorrow. That's going to be electric. There's a lot of things that are going to happen from now until then that are going to matter a lot. So, yeah, I'm really excited. We have a lot to talk about, so I say let's just get right into it.
Yep. We didn't have it on the notes here, but what a colossal meltdown Friday night for Colorado. I went to bed. Yeah. I was like, oh, halftime. It's midnight. Like, my East Coast ass is going to sleep. Woke up, was shocked to see that Stanford had came back.
Dude, and in my mega teaser, I had Colorado, so I went to bed. It was 29-0. And I was like, all right, like, the teaser's alive. Like, this is, maybe we'll do it again. Woke up, I was like, oh, so it's dead. Great. What's crazy is we actually had Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, like, this super late game. There was something absolutely insane that happened. West Virginia blew that Houston lead.
An unbelievable Hail Mary at the end of that game. Wow.
Yeah, like, there's no way West Virginia should have lost. It was basically like the Chiefs-Bills 2021, where West Virginia scored to go up with like 10 seconds left.
Yep, and you're like, too much time.
Houston somehow scored because West Virginia was playing like way off. And then, of course, Friday, Colorado blows the 29-0 lead to a terrible Stanford team that lost to Sacramento State.
Yep.
So, transitive property, Colorado's worse than Sacramento State. Or you could even argue that TCU's worse than Sacramento State. College football's crazy. But then Saturday night, I had like just made a graphic where it was like what if college football was like March Madness? And I had Boise State in there because I was like, oh, Boise State's looking really good against Colorado State. They're up like 30-10. And I wake up the next day and turns out they lost.
4 minutes left. They were up 30-10. And they lost.
That doesn't make any sense.
Insane. They got back-to-back onside kicks. Absolute chaos.
Yeah, so to all the West Coast people that were just like, ooh, late night football, you were blessed this weekend. Us East Coast folk, you know, if you stayed up late 3 nights in a row, good for you, but I didn't get to really watch any of that.
Yeah. Let's talk about some West Coast ball. Oregon, Dan Lanning, Washington, Kalen DeBoer. It lived up to every ounce of the hype. The Michael Penix looked unbelievable. Rome Odunze was phenomenal for Washington. And then Bucky Irving and Bo Nix. That Oregon offense looked great. Like, there were some good defensive plays on both sides of the ball, too. Like, it wasn't just a one-sided show. Unbelievable football game. In my opinion, one of the best of the year.
This has been fantastic this season because all of these big games that we've had so far have totally delivered. Oklahoma, Texas was incredible. Ohio State, Notre Dame was incredible.
Yep.
Like types of games where it's like, wow, the offense is just clicking. This is electric. But the defense is also playing lights out. And it's just like a true battle of every player on the field. And like my takeaways was like Bucky Irving. I didn't know he was like that, dude. Like I guess I hadn't really keened into an Oregon game. But he is so good in a kind of a down year for running backs. Like I doubt there's a first round running back in the NFL draft. And so I'm kind of thinking like maybe Bucky Irving is, as a Ravens fan who we need a running back. I'm like, we should maybe look at Bucky Irving. Bo Nix played great. It really came down to coaching decisions, and Dan Lanning kind of fumbled the bag.
I disagree so strongly with that.
Really?
I disagree so strongly with that. Here's the
Not
thing with that.
necessarily the late call. The late call I get, but there were a couple moments in that game.
Okay, so I do think Dan Lanning should have taken the field goal at the end of the first half. I do think he fucked up there. I think he should have taken the points. I get going for the touchdown. However, you don't know how this game's going to play out. Obviously, hindsight's 50-50. They lost by 3. But I would have taken the points there. Guaranteed points going to halftime with a little momentum. Going for it on 4th down at the end of the game, right around midfield, that was the right call. And the reason, if this game was a 17-14, just pound it like Big Ten West style of game, then sure, punt the football. But these offenses were scoring. And if he would have punted the ball down to Michael Penix and gave Michael Penix the football at the 15-yard line instead of the 40 or 45, wherever it was, they still probably would have scored. Like, I don't think... Whereas if he got that first down, they won the football game. Now, granted, you could say the play call maybe wasn't the best. I thought it was fine. Like it didn't work, but like it was okay. It wasn't something like stupid. It's not like
it was a one option play call. It was a send the wide receiver in motion, break an out route. If he's not open,
you're toast.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. And it's like that's what bothered me. It's like, how can you run such a boomer bust play call there if this is you're trying to put away the game? Because it's basically just you're coin flipping at that point. I would have rather seen slants there or something. But yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I was thinking it like Washington, they get the ball back after that 4th down went AWOL, and they scored in like 3 plays. It was seamless. So theoretically, they would have definitely scored the way they were clicking on that last drive. But again, hindsight is 2020. But I still think that call, like that's, kind of like going for 2 to win the game. It's like, let's just, if we get this first down, we win. So I don't hate it, but the play call I didn't like. And there are a couple other things throughout the game where I feel like Dan Lanning made mistakes. Clock management and so on.
Fair. If you had to give me the option, though, of an aggressive Dan Lanning or chicken shit Jimbo Fisher, I will take aggressive Dan Lanning 10 times out of 10. 10 times out of 10.
Oregon shouldn't be punished. This was no like crystal ball level mistake.
Yeah.
This was like a really good game. It's just I don't think that Oregon, I don't think their players lost them the game because I think everyone played really well. And you could argue last team to have the ball wins, but you don't know that because what if you pin Washington at the 1? You just don't know. So
last team to have the ball didn't win because they kicked that field goal and missed. So tough.
Oh yeah,
tough.
Yeah.
They had the shot to tie it at the end. Like that's college kickers, man.
It was just a fantastic game though, all around. It really was.
Yep, absolutely lived up to the hype. Another game that had huge levels of importance for the ACC. North Carolina, Miami. North Carolina was in control of that game the whole way. Drake May looked incredible. Their defense Tyler Van Dyke played a decent game, but Miami's defense, when they needed to, made stops. Like they showed up when they needed to. Tez Walker, man. God damn.
Yeah. What a middle finger to the NCAA, Like, that was such a great game for Tez. And I feel like that's just feel-good story of the week for college football that, like, just 3 weeks ago, we would have said, like, obviously he's not playing. He wasn't allowed. I guarantee he's not playing. And, he gets to play hometown, at home, in front of friends and family, and go off like that. That was awesome. Like, he looks like NFL type guy. I didn't even know that, really, because I hadn't seen Tez Walker play. I just knew he transferred from G5.
And that's the thing is like he transfers in, and all offseason these Miami fans were like, we need it. Like, why he can't play? Like, why can't he play? And I was like, I get it. But most of the guys you see like that are very much not hyper impacting players. Like they might be a starter, but like they're not that level of good. He's that level of good. I mean, he might be one of the better wide receivers in the ACC. I mean, obviously you have Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson at Florida State, but like and the thrash for Louisville, but damn it, Tez
Murray
Walker
Pratt,
is
Syracuse
right
got
up
a
there
good
with
one,
them.
I like Tez Walker a lot. And he's going in the draft, right? Like, he doesn't have any eligibility left.
I'm going to be honest.
Again, we wouldn't know this because, like, Tez Walker wasn't necessarily on anyone's radar last season, unless maybe you're a deep cut college football fan. But fantastic game. I will say it was pretty close. Like, I thought there was a good chance Miami was actually going to win for about half of that game. And then it all went to shit. So, very impressed with UNC, but like still a believer that Miami can compete. It was not like they didn't just get beat. It was a tough road game, especially after a really tough loss, like emotionally for the players to lose to Georgia Tech like that. So, Miami's still really good in my opinion, and this Clemson game we'll talk about later is, frightening. So,
yeah, Mario Cristobal isn't hot seat yet, but damn it, we need to see some better decision making. Like that. That's 2 weeks in a row now where we've had some tough decisions.
He's got a losing record, I feel like, or something. I don't know what the stats are, but he has not succeeded yet, technically, and he's at fault for some of the losses. So I think he's on the hot seat. Definitely, if you ask a Miami fan, he's on the hot seat 100%.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. They've got a long way to go. It's still a long season. Miami can still salvage it, but 2 conference losses puts them in a tough spot. But let's move over to the Big 12. The Big 12 is, you have here that the Big 12 makes 0 sense. This is 2 takes now that we disagree on. I think the Big 12 makes a ton of sense. There's 2 really good teams, and then the rest has no idea what the fuck is going on. Like they're just not, right. They're not great.
But as in, it makes 0 sense in the sense of, first couple of weeks, it's like, wow, Oklahoma State is abysmal. And now they're probably the 3rd best team in the conference out of nowhere, right?
Yep.
You have West Virginia, who's all of a sudden up there, probably going to get a pretty good bowl game, and then they blow it to Houston, who isn't good. You have Kansas, who is ranked, then unranked, then ranked again, and then they lose to Oklahoma State, who is losing to bad teams like South Alabama. Well, South Alabama's good, but losing 30-0 at home. You know what I mean? So it's just it makes sense, what's happening, because we expected chaos. But it's possible that every team ends up 6-6 besides Oklahoma and Texas. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know what to make of the Big 12, and we'll see how it sorts itself out. It looks like the newcomers don't look good, like UCF and BYU with a bad loss to TCU, Cincinnati with a loss to Iowa State, at home. That was tough. It's the newcomers don't look good. The middle of the pack is all over the place. Texas Tech with a brutal loss to Kansas State. Kansas State beat their ass with a backup quarterback, which you want to talk about a performance. He had 5 rushing touchdowns. That was insane.
But Kansas State's pretty good. But again, we'll see, because that conference is just wild.
Yep. Moving on to a little bit of, I guess, kind of ACC action with Notre Dame and then Louisville. But Notre Dame crushed USC. It was a phenomenal game. Obviously, I'm saying that as a Notre Dame fan. Xavier Watts put on one of the best individual defensive efforts I have seen maybe ever in big-time college football. 2 interceptions, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery for a touchdown, which was not the same forced fumble, a different forced fumble or a different fumble recovery that he recovered for a touchdown. I think he had 8 tackles, just an absolute stellar performance by Xavier Watts. But Notre Dame looked as good as what they were advertised preseason. I know we have several weeks of college football left, but Notre Dame only has 4 more games left on their schedule. And outside of at Clemson, it's Wake Forest, it's Pitt, and I forget the last one, but
damn. So Notre Dame's basically just playing an ACC schedule.
Yeah, well, we play 4 ACC games a year, and they are at the back end of our schedule this year. It was Louisville.
But you played NC State as well.
We played
though, right?
NC State and Duke,
and Louisville and Clemson and Pitt.
Yeah,
and Wake Forest.
so we had 6.
Right?
Yeah, so we basically played an ACC schedule for the most part.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's like pretty much the same thing.
So to end the season, we play Pitt, at Clemson, Wake Forest, and Stanford. So a very soft rest of the year outside of the at Clemson game, and I'm not dismissing that. Like, we could absolutely lose that game. But that being said, like, Notre Dame, for all the people who buried them, they could still end up 10-2 and in a great bowl game. But we'll see.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Notre Dame's a really good team. That Louisville loss was just like you all just really looked bad, and that's just what it is.
Any given Saturday, man. Like, we didn't show
it
up.
Is, Ohio State,
they did.
Ohio State could have gone either way easily, and we could be talking about a one-loss Notre Dame team that has 2 really, really good wins. Yep. But yeah, and like the thing is, any given Saturday, Notre Dame crushes USC, loses to Louisville, but Louisville loses to Pitt by like 20 points.
Yeah. Tough loss.
Like Pitt was like 1-4.
This is the Pat Narduzzi special though. Coming off a bye, they're playing a team that just had their biggest win of the season, right? They are Louisville's as high as Louisville gets, right? Like, they are undefeated, coming off a ranked win at home. They storm the field, and then Pat Narduzzi off a bye just punches you right in the face. I mean, that's what Pitt does, man. They're so good at it every year.
Yeah. But it definitely is, like, as far as if you look at all the ranked teams right now, I think the worst loss that any of them has is that Louisville loss. I actually don't think I have them ranked just because of it, because, again, they hadn't really played a very tough schedule before that Notre Dame game. They do not have a very tough schedule to finish it out. They somehow avoided Clemson, Florida State,
North Carolina,
UNC, and so, like, we could be talking about Louisville, one-loss team at the end of the year, but, like, I don't know how sold I am. I didn't really know how sold I was even after Notre Dame. I was like, I don't know.
I never was. And it's, at the end of the day, like, recruiting rankings do kind of matter. Like, they don't have a ton of elite talent, and sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. Speaking of a 2-loss team, we talked about Notre Dame a little bit, but LSU with a big win. They're not dead yet. At least they're dead in terms of the playoff. Like, they're done. But there are a lot of really good 2-loss teams, and don't do that. No, they're dead, dude.
We could see chaos.
No,
I still believe.
No.
Yeah, we absolutely could. Yes, we could. Listen, like the Pac-12, which is dominating the top 10, could easily beat up on each other in ways where a lot of them, fall out. If Alabama, or let's say Alabama loses to LSU, and then LSU takes the West and beats Georgia, and Georgia loses to Tennessee, but Tennessee loses to Alabama, then it's like, okay, Georgia has 2 losses.
That's a lot of ifs,
LSU
brother. That's a lot of ifs.
But you can't deny the possibility, because this is kind of a season where, like, I know last week the top 4, it was blowout after blowout, but you can't deny that 4 years ago you knew what the playoff was before the season even started.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah.
It was it was obvious. It was Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, and just pick a team, I guess.
Yeah.
But this year, you don't what people think it is right now. It could be 4 different teams.
I don't disagree, especially Brock Bowers' injury hurts Georgia. Like, that's going to be a tough that offense, they leaned on him pretty heavy. Now, granted, they smoked Vanderbilt, and their schedule coming up isn't, exactly difficult, but they play, I don't know, world's largest cocktail party in 2 weeks. So we'll see.
That'd be fun. Don't sleep on Graham Mertz.
God damn it. I'm so pissed that South Carolina blew that game. I wish both teams.
Dude, that was another one that was crazy.
I wish both teams could lose because, on one hand, I have our South Carolina Vanderbilt bet that is still very much alive. Very much alive.
Yeah, do both teams have 2 wins?
No, Vanderbilt has 1 win, but South Carolina has 2. So we're still very much alive.
What a crazy bet. Yeah, they're going to both finish 2-10.
But god damn it, the fact that Florida is no, they're not good. Damn it. We got to stop pretending that they are, but whatever.
Right, they shouldn't have won. They pulled that out of their ass. They had to convert 4 fourth downs.
Yeah. They beat a shitty South Carolina team. So it is what it is. My mentions from South Carolina fans. They're not good. they're certainly not good. But let's talk about things that have been good. The group of 5 this year has balled the fuck out. We've had good group of 5 teams in the past. Obviously we had 2017 UCF. Was it 2020 or 2021?
Coastal
we had that was great for a couple of years there.
Coastal BYU was one of the best games.
Yes.
Of the 2020 so far.
Yes, it was.
With Zach Wilson and that both were ranked really high.
Yep, that was a great game. And then we had Cincinnati who made it to the playoff with Luke Fickell. But the group of 5 teams this year have been outstanding.
Yeah, as of right now, there are a cheeky amount of real competitors in the group of 5, more than you're used to. Again, you're used to, especially by week 8, you kind of have 1, maybe 2 that are oh, I wouldn't be shocked if they, snuck into the top 25 at this point in the season, blah, blah, blah. Last year it was Tulane at this point was finally getting ranked. But yeah, this year you have JMU who's undefeated.
Yep.
You have Air Force who's undefeated and playing really well.
It knocked off a great Wyoming team in another good college football game this weekend.
That was a fucking awesome game. I watched that whole game. I was really excited about it. Liberty is undefeated. Yep. Cheeky. They're probably in the worst conference.
Yeah, their schedule is
in college football in the CUSA, but but that's probably all that means is that they are going to finish undefeated, which that'd be really cool. Yeah. Tulane, Miami, Ohio, Fresno State.
Yep.
You name it. Even Wyoming, they have 2 losses, but they're still a really good team. Yeah, a lot. I'm kind of excited, to see how they do in the bowls.
Yeah.
Come December.
Yeah, and so I don't know if you saw the tweet. There was a bowl game, an official bowl account, that said that JMU was officially bowl eligible after their 6th win. And I know that there's the rule in place that they, shouldn't be able to be bowl eligible this year. However, I saw on a podcast that there is a technicality that maybe JMU might be able to be bowl eligible this year. Hopefully they meet whatever technicality that is. I'm not well-versed enough in NCAA rules to be able to dive into the weeds on that. However, they deserve a bowl game because holy fuck, they have been great. I have 3 G5 teams in my top 25 this week. I have Air Force, Tulane, and JMU. Tulane has 1 7-point loss to Ole Miss, and Ole Miss has a 1-loss team.
Yep.
They're good. They're really fucking good.
Yeah, no, Tulane's good. We they beat USC. They have the same quarterback and they're really good. I have those 3 teams ranked as well. As of right now, I have Air Force ranked the highest.
Same.
Kind of a little bit because I watched pretty much the entirety of that game.
Their defense is so good.
I saw a lot of things I liked. Yeah, I was just they had it in the bag, and then kind of they were bending and Wyoming was coming back, and then Wyoming tied it but they didn't break. And immediately on the next drive, they had that 50-yard touchdown run that was electric in Colorado at home. So, yeah, I think they deserve to be ranked the highest. I understand if some people have Tulane or JMU or you name it. But
for sure. So real quick, I want to rattle off some mid-season awards. And if you are listening and you are at this point in the podcast, we are doing 4 mid-season awards. Heisman, Coach of the Year, biggest surprise, biggest disappointment. We're going to go through them super quick, not spend a ton of time on them because they are just a mid-season award. And really there's like, what is mid-season? But that being said,
we'll post a graphic on it.
We'll post a graphic, but I wanted, if you were listening to this point, comment what your Heisman winner is, Coach of the Year, biggest surprise, biggest disappointment. We want to hear from you guys because it really, you could go with a lot of things. So, Nick, real quick, who's your Heisman winner right now?
I think right now it has to be Mike Penix.
Yep.
I kind of assume you'd agree. I think sleeper second place would be Dylan Gabriel for me right now.
I don't hate that.
Yeah, I think he's been fantastic. I'm not seeing enough from any of the position players. Obviously, Brock Bowers was up there. I don't think he was going to win. So, yeah, it kind of was like if Oregon had won that game, there was a good chance after Caleb Williams, was seeing ghosts pulling a Sam Darnold. Like that Bo Nix would have been my answer, but Washington won, and Penix's stats and record right now, he has to be the answer, I think, for almost everyone.
Yep, I agree. Bo Nix is great, but it's got to be Michael Penix for me. A guy who I think would be a finalist that we didn't mention here, Keon Coleman, has had a phenomenal year.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love Keon Coleman, but I don't think he's done enough to warrant. Even Rome Odunze, the wide receiver for Washington, probably has better stats, has looked just as good. So it's tough, but I love Keon Coleman as a draft prospect.
Oh, freak!
And I've loved him for a while now as a draft prospect. But that one-handed catch he had, he is so much better than Johnny Wilson, in my opinion. So much better. He's like an AJ Green type guy, and I think that he should go top 10 in the draft.
Yep.
But not Heisman. I can't give him Heisman.
All right. Coach of the Year. There are a couple guys here that I really like. A couple teams with lofty expectations that have met those expectations. And then there's also teams that have exceeded expectations that aren't a top tier team. I like Dion. He's not Coach of the Year. Tough. If he would have beat Stanford, I could maybe argue it. I'm going to give you my Coach of the Year, though. It's Mike Elko. Mike Elko has been so damn good for Duke. They won. If you look at the stats for that Duke game, they won that game against NC State without being able to throw the ball. It was absolutely insane. Duke had 107 passing yards and won that game 24-3. Mike Elko is such a damn good coach.
Who's the defensive coordinator over there at Duke? Because Duke's defense, out of nowhere, is tops.
Well, Mike Elko was a defensive coordinator at Texas A&M before he took over that job, so I think he's probably the most hands-on there. Yeah, but that's my Coach of the Year.
Yeah, so I like that, and I think that this is fun for the graphic because of the little rivalry implication here. But I'm going to go with Mac Brown.
Wow.
So UNC Duke. It's just the fact, I have UNC ranked 8th right now. They are undefeated. They are looking like they might even be better than Florida State. I don't it's obviously going to be really hard to tell. Hopefully they match up and it's close and fun. But what Mac Brown's doing, they handled Miami. That offense is clicking. The defense, somehow, everyone was saying North Carolina's defense is not going to be good. It's actually
They
really
look solid, yeah.
Yeah, like crushed Syracuse. They had that token close game against App State, but like not not to worry
Yep.
because they kind of have that. Maybe UNC is a little that team of destiny vibe this year. So it's tough because midseason implies like right now. And for me, like, yes, I kind of want to give it to Mac Brown, but I am sort of assuming like, what if this UNC team runs the table?
Yeah.
Like it's Mac Brown.
I mean,
right? Like that.
he's coached his ass off, man. He's looked really, really good.
Yeah.
Who's your biggest surprise team? Because there's a lot of ways to interpret this. I don't want to influence you at all. Biggest surprise team.
Yeah, that's tough because, like, I guess I kind of want to say Arizona.
Ooh, I like that. Jed Fish.
Yeah, because like I genuinely, if you go back to our Pac-12 like preview episode, I was saying some mean things about Arizona. I was saying worst defense in Power 5 football, like useless team, gonna suck. And then week 2 they play Mississippi State, really close, and we're like, that's impressive, but maybe that's probably just because Mississippi State's not all that good. Then they beat Stanford by 1, and I'm like, okay, Arizona stinks. But then they play Washington super close. It's like, that's weird. They probably should have beat USC on the road, and they destroy Washington State at Washington State. Like, destroy. So something clicked after that Stanford game to the point where now I'm, like, shocked that Arizona is just, like, they can compete with anyone in the Pac-12. Like, they're probably better than a good amount of teams that I never would have thought that. So I'm going to go with Arizona, even though their record is like 3-3.
They're 4-3, and their 3 losses have been at Mississippi State in overtime, against Washington by 7, and against at USC in triple overtime. Those are their 3 losses.
Right.
Like you can't.
And I'm like, imagine they win that USC game, they win that Mississippi State team. We're
Yeah.
talking about a 1-loss Arizona team with a USC win and a road SEC win. Like, holy, Arizona would be ranked in the top 15.
Yep.
So, yeah, I've definitely been really, really impressed. And like that program just looks like they're trending in the right direction. So, good for them.
Yep. My biggest surprise, I'm going with Missouri. I thought Elijah Drinkowitz was a big dumb stooge. And I thought this team was going.
Yeah.
I thought this team's offense was going to be give the ball to Luther Burden and pray, and they've looked good. Like they've looked really good offensively. Brady Cook, I wasn't a believer. I am now. He looks great as their quarterback. Their defenses look solid. There's a very good chance that Missouri could be 7-1 when they play Georgia, and like that will be that might be one of the biggest SEC games of the year. And God damn it, I certainly did not believe that coming into this year. So Mizzou is my surprise team.
Surprise team, yeah. And the thing with Missouri, I remember I was breaking down their schedule, and it was one of the teams that I was like, oh, they're going to go on a little like losing streak after starting out hot. And like, I think they're probably better than that, but it's still very possible that happens. So we'll have to see. But as far as midseason, I think that is more than fair. Like I picked Kentucky last week. Kentucky was up 14-0. I was like, oh, nice. Like Kentucky, Ray Davis going off, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And Missouri ends up winning by nearly 20 points on the road. So there is some special juice over there. They fought real hard with LSU as well. That game could have gone either way. They're good. Yeah, they're a good ball club, but we'll have to see about this stretch coming up.
Yep. They have South Carolina at home next. If they beat South Carolina at home, go 7-1, they already crossed their win total. Their win total was 6.5. That's pretty damn impressive.
That's really good.
Biggest disappointment.
Well, I don't want to say Clemson.
You can. I wouldn't fault you if you did.
Well, how about I go with Wisconsin, because Wisconsin was my dreamy Cinderella, like, ooh, this is gonna be so cool when I'm right. Their schedule's cake. I love like Luke Fickell. I love the transfers they got. They have a great running back, and they always have, white boy linebackers that make up a good defense. But no, they are not good. They, kind of looked embarrassing against Iowa. Couldn't muster up more than 6 points. Iowa has a good defense. It's not fantastic. Lost to a Washington State team that just lost 44-6. And again, I had them in my college football playoff, and they're not going to be in the college football playoff. So that's my biggest disappointment. Clemson, close second.
Yep. I don't blame you. Obviously, the Tanner Mordecai injury sucks. Hopefully he makes a speedy recovery. Hand injury looks like, hand or wrist, something like that. But yeah, I expected more out of Wisconsin. I know we both picked them to win this week, and Iowa did what Iowa does, and they just steamroll. I don't get it. That being said, my biggest disappointment, I was going to pick from the myriad of teams in the Big 12, but I kind of wanted to pick a team. And if you'd asked me this last week, I would have said Oklahoma State, but they ended up winning. And they've turned it around. So I can't in good conscience pick that. So I'm just going to continue to shit on South Carolina. After we had an off season where Shane Beamer was starting to talk some shit, and he did the thing with the sunglasses, and he was cool. And Spencer Rattler, I think if the Spencer Rattler 2-game stretch where he just balled the fuck out against Clemson and Tennessee, if that had happened in week 8 and 9, we would have never had such high expectations for South Carolina. But because those 2 games happened, the last 2 games of the year, everybody was like, oh, they're building something. They can build on this. And it turns out,
naturally,
no.
Naturally though, I think you'd be foolish to assume they're not building something, because what happened.
Yeah.
Spencer Rattler looks fantastic. They won 8 games. They played in a bowl game.
Beat a rival.
They beat Clemson at Clemson and kicked Clemson out of all playoff talk. Naturally I went into this, South Carolina easily could have been my answer as well, considering that I felt pretty good about them being a shoo-in for 7+ wins. They might not make a bowl. They're 2-4. But I will say that you did pick them to have less wins than Vanderbilt. So technically speaking, they could not have disappointed you that much.
They're not disappointing me, but they are a disappointment to their fans, and that's
yeah. If that's what we're doing, because Wisconsin disappointed me.
Fair.
I don't know if their fans expected as much. I might have been completely delusional.
You bring in Luke Fickell, you have high expectations,
Yeah. But I think I might have been just a little crazy.
Yeah.
And so they are my disappointment. Other options, TCU could have been a really good option, right? A couple teams in the Big 12. A lot of people were high on Texas Tech.
Texas Tech could have been one. Yep.
I was not high on them though. Not really anyone from the ACC. I guess there's some Big Ten teams that have just your Minnesota. You're kind of
you know what I mean? Nobody expected much.
I know, yeah. It's just some of them have looked way worse than I even thought. It's tough, but there have definitely been some disappointing teams this year.
Yep. So let's go through our game picks for week 8. We have an awesome slate of games to talk about. We're not going to talk about as many games this week to kind of dive into the ones that, as we get closer to these college football playoffs, we want to talk about the ones that really have the biggest impact. Last week I went 8-4. Nick, how did you do last week?
Yeah, so I'm cold. I'm hanging on by a thread here. I'm taking risks, Cody. I've made that clear that I'm taking risks because I fell behind and I didn't like that. So I kind of lost a sense of self. Wasn't thinking with my head. And I went 5-7. It's all right. The thing is, when it's 1v1, me versus you, if we pick the same shit, I can't gain any ground. So if you go out there and you do well, there's nothing I can do. I just have to pick opposite of you, and hooray that you lose. This time around, I actually put my picks down first, which I think might help. That might turn the tides, because oftentimes I was just looking at what you picked and saying,
See, that's a bad strategy because I'm smart. You know what I mean? And then picking opposite of me.
Sure, but like again, it's not bad strategy, because if I just picked everything you picked, I could not come back. So I had to just find things here and there. I'm glad that we do differ in 4 things, so hopefully I get those 4 things right.
Yep.
And come back.
Yep. Should be a good week of college football. Speaking of SeatGeek Game of the Week, we don't have that many ads on this show, and by that many, I mean we literally have one. However, if you were going to buy tickets to any game, go ahead and use SeatGeek. Promo code SMASHHITSSports gets $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. I love how you're able to see the prices of the tickets with fees. That way you don't have to, dick around with it and be like, oh, I wonder how much it's going to cost when I go to check out. Tell you right up front. So use promo code SMASHHITSSports on SeatGeek. My game of the week, game that I would most want to go to. I've never been to Bryant-Denny Stadium, but after Tennessee winning that game last year, I want to bring some cigars. I want to have a good time. So Tennessee at Alabama is my game of the week this week, at least from an environment standpoint.
Yeah, that's super fair. I honestly might have leaned that way as well. A couple games I really like. Obviously, I would love to go to Miami for the Miami-Clemson game. That stadium's, it's an NFL stadium. It'd be cool to see how little it's filled out for Miami fans and how
brutal.
How many Clemson people actually go, because I'm guessing a good amount are going to go. Air Force Navy, I've been to the Air Force at Navy game before back in 2018. Oh, yeah. It's an incredible atmosphere. Yeah, it's Annapolis, so I grew up in Northern Virginia, very close to me. Then there's Duke FSU. If Duke beats FSU, I'd love to be there for that. But also, this is FSU's probably their biggest home game of the year, right? They had to play Clemson on the road. They had to play LSU in a neutral site. So this is kind of their, personal game day. So I think that the energy there for a night game is going to be electric. And my answer, though, is Ohio State for the Ohio State-Penn State game. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, would I love to go to Ohio State-Michigan? Yes. But, that game is going to be 12 degrees out. And this game, it's probably more sweater weather. So I'm not a huge fan of being absolutely freezing cold. I like more of a temperate cold. And going to see Ohio State playing a huge game against a huge rival in October, that sounds pretty good to me. So That's where I'd go. That's where I'd use my SeatGeek promo code.
Yep, and at $256 a ticket, you need the promo code because goddamn.
Oh, yeah. Save as much money as you can get.
Yep. All right, so I am going to read off the games, but we're not going to go into all of them. Thursday night, awesome game, JMU at Marshall. I'm riding with the Dukes here, and we differ on this one. 3.5 point game.
I'm going Marshall.
So
I'm going Marshall. And just my one quick sentence is going to be that I can't get it out of my head that JMU was down double digits to UVA in the fourth quarter earlier this season, and UVA stinks. So I'm not sold that JMU is actually all that, and Marshall looks pretty good.
Fair enough. It looks like Thursday night football. It's Jags and New Orleans, so this is a better game than that anyway. Saturday, starting off early, hot and heavy. Air Force and Navy. I've got Air Force in this one. You've got Air Force as well, so we'll keep that one moving. That's an 11-point spread. Big game. Noon kickoff, big noon kickoff, college game day, which didn't surprise me even in the slightest. It's going to Columbus, Ohio for a top 10 matchup between number 7 Penn State and number 3 Ohio State. The line on this game is 4.5 in Ohio State's favor. Over-under is 47. Are we going to get back-to-back-to-back game of the weeks that absolutely live up to the hype? Because, damn it, I think this one could.
I think it definitely will, dude. I feel more confident about this being a good game than anything else, just because, like, neither of these teams has shown a level of dominance. Obviously, Penn State dominated UMass, but like, yeah, like a level of like, oh my God, I am so scared. Like Ohio State's defense is so loaded that like even if Penn State's offense is clicking on all cylinders, I think there's no way that it's a domination in that sense. Ohio State's offense is still sort of figuring it out. Penn State's defense is really good. I think in every aspect, these teams are pretty much even, and Ohio State is just given a very slight talent advantage, like a half-point talent advantage, and then a little home court advantage on the spread.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun game. I think
we're both going Ohio State.
We're both going Ohio State. I think if Penn State can really run the ball well, I think they have a shot to win this ball game. Notre Dame was able to run on Ohio State a little bit, not anything crazy, but you have to keep them honest, especially when you're throwing in Drew Aller. This is far and above the biggest environment that Drew Aller has been in, and the reason I give the edge to Ohio State is, say what you will, Kyle McCord played pretty solid football in a hostile Notre Dame environment. This is going to be a big game, but he's got the home crowd on his side this time. So I'm rolling with the Buckeyes in this one. But this game, somebody's going to make a turnover, and whoever fucks up is going to be the one that loses this football game.
Oh, yeah. Especially with quarterbacks like this and Aller and Kyle McCord. Like, it's such an important game. So both of them are going to feel that pressure, and they're both young and inexperienced. So I can absolutely see a good amount of turnovers happening. I think it's guaranteed to be close, though, in my opinion. So definitely very excited.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm giving the edge to Ohio State, just because that defense is just so loaded.
Yep. Next couple of games, UCF at Oklahoma. I thought this game was going to be a little bit closer at the start of the year. But 19-point spread. Dylan Gabriel transferred from UCF to Oklahoma, so you got that kind of cool wrinkle. But I'm taking Oklahoma in this one.
Yeah, we're both on Oklahoma. I wish that UCF was better. I had said before I'm going UCF, but UCF stinks. I can't. Like, it's Oklahoma.
Yep. Oklahoma State at West Virginia. This is a 3-point line. Should be teams that I had drastically different opinions on coming into the season, but they both have shown signs of life. I'm going Oklahoma State in this one. I think they stay hot. You're going West Virginia. So this is one of those where we differ.
Yeah, I'm going West Virginia. They're at home. And again, the Big 12 is just, it's that unpredictable that, like, whatever you pick, I just feel like it's a pretty safe bet to take the other team.
Yeah, this game's an absolute coin flip. I mean, 3-point spread, no idea.
Yeah, I change my opinion on every Big 12 team every week.
Yep.
Like right now, Oklahoma State is really good. They could go lose this game 42-0. So.
Yeah. Now we have Washington State at Oregon. Washington State coming off an ass beating from Arizona. That game was in Pullman. Now they have to go into Autzen Stadium. This game's a 19-point spread. I'm kind of shocked at how wide the spread is. I think I might take Washington State to cover here. But that being said, Oregon's winning this football game. They're not losing 2 in a row.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy because Washington State looked like super legit for pretty much like every week up until getting destroyed by Arizona, which again, like that is, that's one of the worst losses of the year for any team as far as just like what they were, they were a favorite. They lost by 38. That's crazy. But yeah, 19 is nuts. I'll have to look into it more. It's a bit early for me to lean one way or the other on the spread, but I'm going to take Oregon for a game pick.
Yep. Moving along, we have the third Saturday in October, Tennessee at Alabama, 17 at 11 Alabama. Alabama is a 9.5-point favorite. That line is not nearly large enough. The tide will roll in this one. The tide will roll heavy. This team, Jalen Milroe, quit shaking your head. Jalen Milroe is going to show that he is a good college football quarterback. He's not great by any means. This Alabama team is loaded on defense. They are going to make Joe Milton look like Joe Milton has looked at if Tennessee lost to Florida. Do you think they're going in to Bryant-Denny Stadium and keeping it close? Not a chance. Tied by 50.
Like you said, Cody, any given Saturday, anything can happen. I think the spread's crazy. I'm pretty sure last year the spread was like 8, and I thought it was crazy, and Tennessee won outright. I do think Jalen Milroe is a good college quarterback. But, like, I don't know, Tennessee and Alabama pretty much did the same thing to Texas A&M, right? Like, they both, won in a kind of a close, defensive-minded game. And like, I kind of just I think Tennessee is getting a little shat on by the public here. So I kind of believe in them a little more than it seems a lot of other people do. And I like them against the spread. And just because I still do have to go crazy in order to get some wins back, I'm going to take them for game picks as well.
Fair enough. For what it's worth, trying to look up to see what the public is on here. The public is actually on Tennessee with the spread. So that was kind of surprising. I was not expecting that. I like the under in this game, though. I think both of these defenses are like very, very good. I could see this being a 23-20 ball game very, very easily.
Yeah, I'm not gonna touch the over under. I don't think it's just too many things could happen.
Yep. This will be a really interesting game because you have Alabama, who's at 11, and then you have Penn State and Ohio State, who are playing each other. You have Duke and Florida State, which we will talk about, playing each other. Alabama could creep their way back up into the top 10, and nobody's talking about it, but they're not dead yet.
Right. No, that's very true. Penn State could lose, FSU could lose, and Alabama's just ranked 9 or something. Yeah, which would be pretty crazy.
Yep. Toledo at Miami of Ohio. Talk about teams that surprise me. Miami of Ohio is I thought they were going to be middle of the pack in the MAC. Love some good MACtion.
Yeah.
This game means a lot. Miami of Ohio is currently at the top of the MAC East. Toledo currently at the top of the MAC West. Both of these teams are the only 2 teams that are undefeated in conference play. They're both 6-1. Like this game means a ton for MACtion. So who do you got in this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is a little preview of the MAC championship. Maybe, probably. It depends what Ohio can do, but it really is a 3-man race in the MAC, I think. I'm actually leaning Miami, Ohio here because they are at home. It's just like I feel like it's crazy because they got like smoked by Miami to start the year after talking all that shit, right? Mm-hmm. But they've like handled their business with ease ever since. They got good quarterback play, and Toledo's looked a little suspect, like they kind of had to like pull through at the end against UMass. I forget who they played last week, but they won by like 7. Like it was 13-6 in a game that was way too close. So I'm not mega sold on Toledo, and I think I like what I've seen from Miami more.
So this game, it's a 1-point spread. It's a pick 'em. It's as coin flip as it gets. And in that situation, I'm going to ride with Jason Candle and Toledo. I think Candle's a really good head coach. And if I have the opportunity to side with a guy who I think is a really good head coach, I'm going to do that. So I'm siding with Toledo on this one. I'm not strong in my conviction either way, though. I mean, damn.
Yeah, I'm not really either. I'm not very well versed in the MAC. The MAC is also notorious for being the most chaotic of all. So.
And it's beautiful. I love Maction. Next game, Toledo at Kansas State. This spread is
TCU.
Sorry,
Kansas State.
My brain fart. I saw the T. TCU at Kansas State. Kansas State is a 7-point favorite. I do not feel confident in this pick at all. At all. I'm picking Kansas State. But my fucking butt is puckered, dude.
Well, I'm pretty sure both teams are without their starting quarterback.
Yep.
And I think we saw more from Kansas State's starting quarterback. I mean, TCU's looked good as well, I guess, but he's like a true freshman, I think. Just really, really unproven. Like Chandler Morris. If Chandler Morris was playing, I'd probably actually go TCU here, but I'm going to go Kansas State.
Yeah, and this game, at Kansas State, it'll be a tough place to play. Last 3 games on the slate. The night slate this weekend is a great one. You have Utah at USC, you have Clemson at Miami, and you have Duke at Florida State. Let's talk about Utah at USC first. USC, a bounce back spot here. It's at home. However, you now have 14th ranked Utah coming into your place, and Utah has given USC fits the last couple of years.
Right.
I'm taking USC.
Yeah, I'm taking USC as well. I think the spread's kind of telling here. Like, why is it 6.5? If it was like so infamously impossible for Caleb Williams to beat Utah. But I guess like Cam Rising is just, he kind of like quit football mid-season. He just doesn't want to play. Because like he's going to the games, he's dressed, he's like coaching is what's happening. Like he's on the sidelines. He's basically,
and I've seen that he's
like
practicing but not cleared, which is a weird thing. Like, yeah.
I there's like some weird shit. Like I think he genuinely like might just be foregoing the sport. It's weird. It's wild. I like, obviously this is speculation. This is not like, I'm not reporting news here. So like, yeah, maybe he's not 100% and not cleared, but it's definitely strange. If you are a Utah fan and you know some inside information, please comment it, please, because I'd love to get more points of view on it, because I really want to see Cam Rising play this year.
Yeah, I agree. And I would feel a lot better about this game. I'm borderline picking Utah.
Do you want to do it?
I want to do it. Fuck it. I'm picking Utah. All
right.
I'm picking Utah.
No, it's good because now it's another chance for me.
I'm actually not hard. USC defensively played actually a pretty solid game against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's points came off of turnovers. I mean, they had 4 or 5 turnovers on offense, and that put Notre Dame in phenomenal field position. But Notre Dame's touchdown drives were like 10 yards, 25 yards, and a defensive touchdown. Like, it's not like USC's defense was bad, but they're going to have to stop this Utah team, and this Utah team has a damn good defense too. I don't know how mentally tough this USC team is, so give me Utah. I'm going with the Utes.
Love it. Changing the graphic as we speak.
All right, let's talk about your team. Miami has not looked good. They've lost 2 straight. And Clemson, while not looking bad, has also not looked good. I mean, you've watched...
No, Clemson has not looked good this year.
You've watched more of their football than I have, but they're coming off a bye, which is nice. However, they did not look good against Wake Forest, and they didn't look great against Syracuse. Like...
What was Wake Forest just played someone and looked like the worst team in college football too?
Let me look, but you kill some time while I'm pulling it up.
Yeah, definitely let me know what.
They lost by 17 to Virginia Tech.
Yeah, okay, and Virginia Tech's stinks butt. So, well, or maybe they don't, right? Maybe they don't. I definitely think that we both agreed that Virginia Tech was going to be really bad.
Yeah.
This year.
They've looked a little better. Better than I thought.
They've looked maybe a little bit better. They kind of looked. They had some decent plays against Florida State 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, Clemson's just looked off. It just something's off every game. It's pretty easy to pinpoint what, but it's just impossible for them to fix it. So yeah, it's definitely a scary game, but I think because of the bye, and probably the minimal but the apparent talent difference that there still is, Miami's going to be chock full of talent really soon because they're recruiting really well, but it's not quite here yet. So I'm going to go with Clemson.
Yeah, Clemson's in a good spot after a bye. I'm trying to find the stats here. After a bye, since being hired at Clemson, they're 16-14-1 against the spread, which is, I mean, it's not bad. That's greater than 50%, but they're good at home. This is going to be basically a home game for Clemson. I'm not worried about their going to Miami, but they're 24-7 since Dabo has been hired after a bye. 24-7. I feel
it's not as good as you would have expected.
It's not as good as you would expect, except that's the fourth best in the country since 2008.
Right.
So,
obviously, Clemson's still been a juggernaut for years and years. But when you hear that home record, that 95-6 home record, and then you're like, oh well, after a bye they're only 24-7. But yeah, obviously 24-7 is really good still.
Yep. So I'm riding with Clemson in this one. Let's move to the final game of the evening, Duke at Florida State. I mean, this game, it's a 13.5-point spread. This is the best team that Florida State's played.
Yeah. Well, yeah, technically.
I don't think it's LSU. Technically. I think Duke is a better team than LSU.
I don't know. It's close. In my opinion. But yeah, I mean, Duke obviously
best defense they've played.
Yeah, best defense. That's for sure. Well, Clemson has a really good defense.
True.
But Duke's defense has looked phenomenal. So I'm willing to say yes to that.
Yeah, this will be a fun game. Awesome nightcap. I think this will probably be on the main TV with sound. In my household.
Oh yeah.
I like Duke a lot. I like them to cover the spread, 13.5, way too many points. I like Mike Elko a lot. That being said, at some point you have to trust the dudes on the field to play really damn good football. And I don't know if Riley Leonard is going to play in this game. To me, the line reflects that he is not playing in this game.
I don't think he's playing.
So if it comes to trusting a backup quarterback to Jordan Travis and Keon Coleman, I'm going to take Jordan Travis and Keon Coleman every time. So give me Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take Florida State as well. I'm not going to go crazy and take a 14-point dog to win. That has not done well for me so far this year. Obviously, it doesn't happen all that much.
Bro, you need to cheer up, man. I feel like I need to drop a couple.
What about my record?
Yeah.
My record is bad, Cody. I'm in dire straits right now.
Look, when you're competing against the best, I don't know you know what I mean?
No. The tides are going to change because I got to pick first this time around.
I'll let you pick first the rest of the year, pal. I'll still blow you away.
Okay, we'll see.
We'll make another bet.
We'll see about that.
We'll make another bet since I don't feel super confident about my Vanderbilt bet halfway through the season.
Double or nothing. You have to buy me 2 tickets to the Super Bowl. No, but yeah, I mean, this is a game that I will be rooting so hard for Duke. Oh my God. like I'll straight up just be a Duke fan. Like
I love that for you.
Jersey,
I love that for you.
Extra, yeah, I mean, like seriously, send me like an extra jersey you have, ship it to my house. Like I will fucking wear that shit all game, flaunting it around. I hope Duke wins so bad. That's kind of why, again, like I would have loved to go to that game. But do I think it's going to happen? No. So I am going to go with FSU.
Yep. Moving on to best bets. We're not going to read any hot takes this week just because this is a little bit longer of an episode. The other thing, moving on to best bets, I went 1-1 last week, and I felt okay about it. I've been off and on. If you want my full slate of bets, right, make sure and same with Nick, make sure you follow on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok to see all of our bets. All of our links are in the descriptions of the podcast or the YouTube, wherever you're watching. That being said, I'm locking in the nuclear mega GOAT play of the century. The play of the millennium. Okay. This is the lock of my life, right? And it is going to be the most disgusting bet I've ever bet. It's putrid. It's filthy. It's awful.
I know it's coming.
And it is the under in Iowa, Minnesota. The total is currently sitting at 32.5. And you go, wow, that is an unbelievably low total. You would be right. It is the third lowest total in college football history. The lowest total in college football history was also the Iowa-Minnesota game of last year. I think it closed at 31. We have a chance. And get this, if you were listening to this when it comes out, which will probably be Wednesday this week, if you're listening to this when it comes out, put the bet in now because the line is probably going to get lower. We might have a lowest total of the history of college football on our hands. That
last year, Iowa-Kentucky in the Music City Bowl, was
the second lowest total. Was the second lowest total. Both of those games?
That was so shocking to me when I saw it. Because I have been like betting on college football for, a good amount of time since by that game. I had never seen a line that low in my life. Like that. And yeah, so 32, like what's the spread?
I'm not sure what the spread is. I know that Iowa is a favorite. I think they're like a 6.5 point favorite.
Because I'm trying to think, like, what does the Vegas algorithm assume the score is going to be if they set the over-under at 32?
Yeah, let me get you a look here real quick. But moving on to but anyway, both of those, the games that had the two lower totals than this, both of those went under, right? Here's the other. Did you just see balloons come across my screen? What the fuck was that?
No, did you? I have no idea.
Did I hit a ball? I have no idea. All right, we might have to edit that out. That was weird. If not, we're gonna leave it in.
Spooky season.
We're gonna leave it in. Spooky season.
No, you got possessed. You got possessed by a birthday clown.
Yep. The other stat that leads me to betting this under, in Iowa's most recent game, right, this weekend against Wisconsin, they won that game 15-6. They had 37 passing yards. 37. They won that game 15-6, right? In Minnesota's most recent game, against Michigan, they had 52 passing yards. Combined over their last two games, they threw for less than 100 yards. The line is Iowa minus 3.5. Right?
No, I honestly, Cody, I think that is one of the best Mega Whale
lock game of the life.
Yeah, like nuclear bazooka whale.
Yes. Nuclear megalodon whale bazooka.
Megalodon whale.
It's going under. This game is going to be 13-8.
If you tell me right now, like, oh, I'm from the future, and the Iowa-Minnesota game was 3-0 final score, I'd be like, yeah, all right, that checks out. So, like, yeah, it could be like the over could be like not even close. Like the line's 32, and if you have the over, you like might be dead immediately regardless. Like I think this is just you have to bet the under. I think this is you see it with Vegas. It's like you can't set the line at like 18. You just can't do it.
You're gonna look at the like play-by-play for this, and it's gonna be like drive summary, and it's gonna be punt, 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 turnover on downs, fumble, punt, interception, punt, end of half, and it's gonna be so beautiful. It's gonna be an art form.
Yeah,
I can't wait.
No, it's peak Big Ten West.
Yep.
It's fantastic. I actually like totally will not watch because it is truly a miserable watching experience. But like tracking it and seeing the memes, hilarious.
Yep.
So I'm really glad it's happening. But yeah, like I'd rather get waterboarded than watch like that game for sure.
I'm gonna sweat it out just for fun. But that is my one and only bet of the week. So
yeah, you're throwing the house on it. Megalodon, bazooka whale. I don't have any huge bets like that, but I will be throwing solos on Tennessee plus 9.5, Marshall money line because it's a standalone Thursday game, which is really fun.
Yep. Underdog, you get a little plus points there.
Yeah, a little plus action. Just toss a little bit on there, see if I can play with some house money for the Saturday slate, and then I like the South Carolina Missouri over 58.5. Again, Missouri's defense is not that good. South Carolina's defense, as we have been able to see, is also not that good. I can see that game being kind of like the LSU Missouri game that was 49-39, which obviously that's 88 total points. For it to get to 60 and hit, I like that a lot.
I don't hate that at all. I think I don't think Missouri's had an under hit all season, so could be
probably the same for LSU.
Yep, gotta love it. That being said, that is the podcast. Make sure you guys subscribe if you're not already, and let us know who you think is going to have the game of the week this week. I'm excited. A lot of great football ahead of us. We're gonna have some little peek behind the curtain. We might have some college basketball stuff coming before the basketball season starts. A little college hoops preview.
We will have some college basketball stuff.
Yeah, a little college hoops preview. So get excited for that. We are so back, but we will see you in the next one.
All right.